Well, baseball is the national pastime, and it's using its popularity to help draw attention to prostate cancer awareness. That initiative symbolically starts next Sunday when they roll out special uniforms for Father's Day. You can hear our guest on WFAN's Talkin' Baseball and Sirius XM Radio. Baseball historian and prostate cancer survivor himself, Ed Randall. Thank you for coming in.
Steve, great
and
to be
talking
with
with us about this. Very much appreciated, and great to get the word out here because your charity is called Fans for the Cure. It is focused on the awareness of the disease, and I wanted to look at the stat specifically. According to cancer.org, 1 in 7 men will get prostate cancer at some point in their lives.
Right.
So what's the message that you want to send out there?
The message is that we want men to understand that there is a 96 to 97% cure rate if prostate cancer is detected early. We want to educate men, make them aware of the fact that this disease is in fact an epidemic. 1 in 7 Caucasian men. The ratio is higher for Latinos and even higher than that for African American men, where it's 1 in 4.
Amazing.
1 in 4, and there will be in excess of 230,000 cases will be diagnosed during this calendar year. We want to get men to the doctors. We want them to understand that, again, there's a 96 to 97% cure rate if it's detected early, and the best way to do this is consult yearly with your doctor. And 2, beginning at age 40, if you have a history of prostate cancer in your family, and if you do not at age 45, that men should, when they go to the doctors annually, should ask for, when they are getting a blood screening, that they ask the doctor to be screened for PSA, and that they take a digital rectal exam, which will save their life like it did mine.
And that's the one thing that I guess a lot of men are hesitant about is the screening process itself. But as you said, this is a deadly disease. And if you don't get screened and if you don't detect this, you don't fall into that 97% cure rate.
And our problem is our DNA.
Yeah.
Men, I feel fine. Steve, so help me God, on the day in which I was diagnosed, I felt like I feel talking to you right now. I was fine. Fine.
It's asymptomatic, right?
Completely, that's the word. Asymptomatic. I was completely fine. And through God's grace, I got, being a baseball guy, using a baseball term, I got a second at bat at life. And when I went into my 2 favorite words in the English language, in remission, right there with Merry Christmas and Happy Birthday, I came to this realization that on the day in which I was diagnosed, I felt fine. And you know what? There could be tens, hundreds, and I was filled with cancer. There could be tens, hundreds, thousands, millions of men out there like me walking around feeling fine, thinking they were fine, when in fact they were time bombs. So we founded the 501c3 charity, Ed Randall's Fans for the Cure, dedicated to the proposition of spreading the twin gospels of prostate cancer awareness and the life-saving value of early detection.
We appreciate all of the efforts that you're making in trying to raise awareness for this. You've got some future events coming up, some minor league summer road trip. You have a town hall as we change the subject here on Tommy John surgery. It's featuring Tommy John and the legendary pitching coach Leo Mazzoni himself. I'm curious what they think about the epidemic of Tommy John injuries in Major League Baseball and really minor league baseball too.
I think they're appalled, and there are cases, Steve, and you've probably heard of this in your experience, whereby parents have taken their children, otherwise healthy children, 12-year-olds, they're children, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, when they're feeling fine, feeling okay, taking them to the doctor and saying, you know, why don't you operate on him anyway? Because we hear that when he comes out on the other side, he's going to throw harder. Tommy John will be at our town hall to say that that's a fallacy. It's not true at all. And any doctor who does that should have his credentials pulled. But it is an epidemic of Tommy John surgery. At the major league level, 26.9% of the pitchers on rosters have experienced Tommy John surgery. Just look here locally in New York with the Mets starting rotation.
So you're
4/5. The epidemic of arm surgeries in baseball is really the equivalent of what the NFL is experiencing with concussions.
Right.
We got to do something about this. And baseball is spending in excess of, I think it's $1.5 billion on their pitchers. You got to protect that investment, and they're thinking, well, if we have the pitch counts and we limit their exposure on the mound, that's going to help. Well, obviously, it's not.
Let's talk a little bit about how baseball wants to become more progressive. They reduced the amount of time that the games were being played last year, but now it's back up 7 minutes longer this year, and some of it has been attributed to instant replay.
Right.
Before we get to specifically instant replay, do you subscribe to the idea that baseball needs to be shorter, or do you have a different feeling?
Oh, no, I talk about it on my show all the time, Steve. In this time of instant communications, where I can instantaneously contact my family in Italy,
right,
that the games are longer than they've ever been. And I have a concern about the generations behind me who believe in instant communication and want instant satisfaction. And here we have a situation where the games are longer than they've ever been. There is reportedly a 35% increase in instant replay, and at the end of the day, is really instant. You know, when they stop the game and you got to wait and wait and wait.
On Friday, the game, it was an 8-minute delay in the Mets-Brewers game.
Right, and there have been some others like that in other games in other cities around the country. I love the technology. I think the idea is great. We've got the technology. Let's use it. But now, with the installation of the new sliding rule at second base, which is informally being called the Utley rule after what happened last year, there's a lot of replay that is being dedicated to that play out at second base. I don't like long games. I come, of course, from a generation where Catfish Hunter, Whitey Ford, Jim Cott got the ball back from the catcher, boom, let's go. And I love that. And I have great concern about how we're going to be able to capture and keep the attention of the generations to come to understand that this is the greatest game that was ever invented.
But isn't it about drama more than duration? If you have a great game that lasts 4 hours as opposed to a quick game that lasts 2.5 hours but is drama-free, wouldn't you rather have a game that's got a little bit more, some interesting plays in it?
No, I think that that's fine. I think that that's good. But there was a game at Yankee Stadium last night where the Detroit Tigers are winning 6-1, and they bring in a pitcher in the 9th inning, and he walks a batter with 2 outs, and anyway, there were 2 more pitching changes. It's just, you know, and I saw Brad Asmus come out from the dugout, the Tigers manager, and I'm like, oh man, I can't believe he's going to change pitchers. And you're right. When there are great games, nobody's looking at the clock.
Right.
But there was a time, Steve, where nobody left Yankee Stadium and nobody left Old Shea Stadium when the game was tied or close. But now the games are so long and people are streaming out after the bottom of the 6th and the bottom of the 7th. Okay. We used to make jokes here in New York for years about Dodger fans, that they came late and they left early. Well, and now that's what's going on all over baseball because people have jobs and they have responsibilities.
Great to speak with you.
Great to speak with you.
Thank you for coming in and chatting with us and helping to raise awareness for prostate cancer research and raise awareness really for the fans out there. So you can listen to him on WFAN radio and Sirius XM radio. Host and baseball historian Ed Randall, thank you for coming in.
Steve, thanks for having me. Great to be with you.